All right, Chris, looking at TCU this year, coming off of a national championship appearance the year prior, kind of talk to me. How'd their offense look this year, Chris?
Actually, the offense wasn't that bad. It really wasn't. I know it wasn't what last year's was. They averaged 38 points a game last year. They averaged 31 this year. So, yeah, that's quite 7 points is a lot. But, I mean, you're scoring over 30. That's not terrible. You could do a hell of a lot worse. But, Chandler Morris and Josh Hoover this year, though, combined 27 TDs, but they also threw 14 interceptions. They still couldn't figure out who the hell was the best quarterback on that team. Turnovers were a problem, TCU, all year long. They were up there with Nebraska this year, a couple other teams that really like to turn the ball over. You can't do that to win games. We know that. The other thing with TCU is I don't know if it's this year was weird because of the Colorado game, right? That was week 1. We called that game. There was a lot of drama afterwards. It's almost like they lost their mojo the entire year after that game. I mean, they did get exposed. We expected TCU to give up some points in that game, and I know it was only one game, but it's like TCU never found the rhythm. I watched them a ton after that game this year, and everything was a track meet. There was no defense. There was no consistency offensively, whether it was running the ball, exchanging quarterbacks back and forth throughout the year. Everybody knows I hate that stuff. You got to find a starter. That's why you have an off season. It was just a mess this year for Sonny Dykes and TCU, in my opinion, Christian. So I know offensive wasn't all the problems, Christian. Why don't you enlighten me on that defense?
Oh, you're right. Everything's so comparative here. So the offense compared to the defense looked lights, head over heels better, I guess we'll say. Because, look, here's the thing, Chris. 2023 Horned Frogs, they're a far cry from the previous year's national championship runner-up, right? The defense finished 100th in the country in total defense. I mean, they got gashed in the passing game week in and week out. They were 113th in the country in passing yards allowed. I mean, the Frogs were 92nd in points per game allowed, giving up 29.8 points, right? I mean, the low point was they got they got cut up, up and down the field against Colorado in week 1, right? And I don't think they stopped them once. You touched on that, Chris. I mean, it was a very hard way to start the season off. The highlight, and it's always tough to make a highlight a loss, but it was probably only losing to Texas by 3. Right? Yeah. That was the highlight, I think, of their season there. I'll just do this. I'm going to give the overall grade. I'm going to give it a D. Can't give them an F, but I got to give them a D. Can't give them a C because Sonny Dykes' second year wasn't as good as the Natty run from the year prior. And the Frogs, they're going to look to take over the Big 12 with Texas and OU leaving, but 5-7, that's not going to cut it.
No, I'm real close. I gave them a D- strictly because I thought TCU actually had some talent on this team this year, and they just didn't live up to it. Vegas had them at 8 wins. They finished with 5. I know you and I both had them bowl eligible to start the season. Just didn't get it done, and you talked about it very quickly there. Best game was against Texas. They had losses to Colorado, Iowa State, some other teams that they had more talent than, should have won. We know Sonny Dykes is a good coach, so D- for the Frogs from me.